You're listening to The Artist Athlete, episode 121. This podcast is dedicated to CIRCUS. It's a place for professionals in the industry to share their stories, viewpoints, and information, and a place for outsiders to get a sneak peek into this world. Hey, friends, fans, and foes. I'm Shannon McKenna. I'm the host of the Artist Athlete podcast and the founder of theartistathlete.com. A transcript of this episode is available completely for free at patreon.com/theartistathlete. And while you're there, take a look around. If you've been thinking about supporting the Artist Athlete in any kind of way, sign up to become a Patreon at patreon.com/theartistathlete. Small amounts of money are given every month by people just like you to help this podcast keep going. The transcripts themselves come from a service called Zencastr, which costs me about $50 a month to run. And I pay for that. I pay for my editor. I pay for my awesome assistant, Hannah. And all of that money comes through the contributions of listeners like you. I actually don't make any money off this podcast, but it's totally fine. I get to do other things like talk to today's guest, who's totally awesome. The one thing I want to say before we start this interview is I want to note that I get feedback sometimes, which yes, I love it. I love it when y'all give me feedback. And you can always send it to podcast@theartistathlete.com. Just email me. I'm there. Hannah's there. We'll take your messages. But sometimes I get feedback that everyone I have on the show started when they were really young. And can I have guests who didn't start when they were really young? And I do have guests who didn't start when they were young. But today, I do have an artist who started training her art form, contortion, at the age of 7. And I want to explain why it's vital that you listen to this story or stories of people like my fabulous guest today. And I want you to hear the story of this woman and what she gained by starting training so early, but also what she had to give up. And I think it's important to have an appreciation for the sacrifices that people at an early age have to make if they start training. You know, we always think, oh, it's so easy for them. They started so early, but the grass isn't always greener. And even though, of course, you'll hear through my interview, she's incredibly happy today, just to take that into consideration and be thoughtful of that. Her name is Ulzii Kee. She was born in Mongolia. She's a professional contortionist and hand balancer since early childhood. And after she started her career at the Mongolian National Circus, this outstandingly talented artist joined Cirque du Soleil at age 11. She has traveled the world performing in shows Alegria, Amaluna, and Totem. And that was a 15-year collaboration, which has made her one of the world's greatest artists in her discipline. And if Ulzii's last name sounds familiar, it's because she is the romantic partner of last week's guest, Victor Kee. So if you want to hear more from him, you can go to last week's episode. One more thing about this episode, if you want to learn more specifically about Mongolian contortion, you can definitely check out the show notes in this week's episode. And I also recommend you go back in the Artist Athlete podcasts. The episode lists are pretty much everywhere you're listening to this episode. Go all the way back to episode 23. I did an interview with Searchma Bayamba, who is also mentioned in this episode and was one of the ones noted for bringing contortion, Mongolian contortion specifically, to North America. Without further ado, here's my interview with Ulzii Merkin, also known as Ulzii Kee.
Yeah, so you can call me Ulzii. Everybody calls me Ulzii.
Uh-huh. Amazing. Ulzii. Well, welcome to the podcast. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I saw the amazing. I looked up on the link that you guys that you interviewed the other artists, and I was like, "Holy moly, some amazing artists! Why am I invited?" It's like, okay, probably because of my husband. It's like.
No.
No,
I don't think it's just because of you. Well, I mean, I met you. Victor Kee is your husband, and he recommended you, of course. Mm-hmm. But then I looked into your own career, and I was like, oh my gosh, what a story to tell. And we've actually had, so I don't know if you know her. I couldn't assume that you do, but Searchma Bayamba was
Yes, I know her.
you know Searchma? Okay. So I trained under her when I was in San Francisco a little bit. I'm not obviously like contortion, but she was like a very influential for my flexibility. And I've had her on to talk a bit about like the Mongolian style and the heritage and all of that. But I think it's really important to talk about because people think flexibility is always yoga or they think it's all of these things. But there's actually this whole tradition in Mongolia of this work.
Yes.
And I want to share it.
Yeah.
And having someone like you on who has such an experience with it is amazing to do. So, so it's not just because your husband is Victor Kee. You have your own story.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, it's normal now. It's like everybody knows me as the wife of Victor Kee, so I don't mind. I really don't mind. It's been almost 8 years like this, so I'm used to it. But yes, contortion is a huge part of our culture. It is one of the artistic culture side of Mongolia. So we have the we call the horsehead violin. It's like a Mongolian Chinese instrument. We have our own musical instrument, and we have wrestling. It's like for the men to show how masculine and how strong the men can be, and we have contortion to show the feminism, like feminine, like beauty of a woman. Literally, just like it represents the beauty of woman, how flexible, how feminine, how and contortion, it highlights the curves of woman body. So that's why it's really respected, like really highlight of Mongolian tradition, and it's all mother's dream for their daughter to become a contortionist is like a really huge thing. And because of that, we have amazing trainers. We take it very serious. The training, we take more like a flexibility training. We really take it as a career, something that is a profession. So we go to, like, I started at 7 years. I joined Mongolian Circus School. But in general, the circus schools are usually you learn all the disciplines, each disciplines in the circus school, and then you choose what you want to do the most, but you still do the rest of the discipline. In Mongolia, it's not like this. It's only, there's a one big room for contortionists, and this room only contortionists, and contortionists cannot, because it's very flexibility, lots of work, strength and flexibility. So we are not allowed to go jump on the trampolines because it avoiding the injuries and all this. We are not allowed to play with balls, hitting balls, because it could injure our wrists and all. So it's from the beginning, the moment you step to that door, you literally says that I'm gonna be a contortionist, and everything I dedicated to be a contortionist. So it's like a step you're making, and then you cannot literally like go around and goof and have fun because you're 7 years old. And no, it's like it's really step by step. You really have to learn everything, and in 1 or 2 years you finish the first basics of contortion. Is usually they put the strength, and you already learn the handstand and one arm by the first year.
By the first year. Intense. So by the time you were 8 years old, you could do a one arm.
Exactly.
Wow.
So it's that intense. It's, you cannot take it like they didn't see you as a kid. They see you as a professionalist already.
How did you know at 7 that that's what you wanted to do?
I didn't know. Nobody. I don't think at that age kids knows what they're doing. It's just the mothers. Okay. I have literally have a feeling it is the mothers because like the same thing, like all as far as I know, I don't think there is any kid that I want to be a contortionist or something like this. I think the mothers brought their kids like, I want my daughter to be a contortionist. So because we don't know what contortion is, and as soon as the stretch and the pain comes in, we are like, I want to get out of here. And then it's like, we have to go through all these stretchings and push-ups and training, all this age. We do it because the kids don't know tiredness. They don't take it. They are in pain, but then after 10 seconds, they forget about it. So it's kids. So that's why I believe that they say it's good to start when they're smaller because they can train it. And by the time you're 10, 12, when you learn everything, you don't remember that pain because it's like, oh, I didn't remember what I was doing at 7 years old. The same as that, we forget the pain. And it's interesting also why we start early is when you're smaller, it's easier to put all the informations and all the disciplines and all this flexibility to you. It's like putting all the programs in the computers and you using it. So once, like I gave a birth to 2 kids and I can still do 10 push-ups in the next 2 weeks after giving a birth. So it's all in my body.
Yeah.
It's like reflex. Like if you notice that the ballerinas has turned out legs, you can tell them, oh, she must be aerialist because of the wide shoulders, or like the dancers, the way they walk and all this, like contortions, we have something weird, like we have mostly bit coral back than the normal, or like straighter back than the most of the normal people, because we bend so much that in real life we actually bit more straight and coral than the regular people.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the things we can tell. Oh, she's a contortionist. I can tell all the contortionists that she is or he is a contortionist. So there are these things because we started when we were very small. Yes.
Oh, hey there. I just wanted to interrupt this interview real quick to just say one real quick little thing about myself, which is that I am not only the host of the Artist Athlete podcast. No. She is a businesswoman, and I run a whole company dedicated to the education and inspiration of circus artists. That goes from people who are just doing it weekend warriors as a hobbyist, recreationally, or if you're a professional, you've put in the hours and you need more resources, go to theartistathlete.com. There are a ton of recorded workshops, online manuals and ebooks, everything you could possibly need from me and from some guests on this show about everything from nutrition to training your shoulders to really specific aerial moves that you need to master. Again, theartistathlete.com. And just because you went there from listening to this podcast, use code PODCAST and get 15% off your entire purchase. That's right. Theartistathlete.com. Use code PODCAST at checkout for 15% off your entire purchase. And have a great day. Back to the episode. Do you think it's, I don't know how to ask this because I have a very Western like mindset, right? So I'm wondering, do you think it's right that kids are doing this young? Like, did you, because I have to assume just like any art form or anything, like you don't, like not everyone who does it becomes professional, right? Like I'm sure a lot of kids you were with are not doing, like they're not in Cirque du Soleil, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. So when I entered circus school, I believe maybe there was another 50 girls.
Okay.
But by the first week, half of them are gone. They cry, they complain that it's too much. And then most of the time, the parents don't want to see their kids crying, so they feel hurt by watching their kids cry. So they usually take their kids out, and so half of by the like 3 months or 6 months, maybe there is like 10 kids left. And then there are the kids that like, oh, I want to be a contortionist.
Oh, okay.
This is cool. And then, there's a few kids that are motivated to become a contortionist. Probably that was one of them. I was one of them. And then that's, goes far. And to be honest, I really believe that it's great to do like some kind of discipline for kids. But it's good to start when they are young. I really agree with it. But making them work and all this, I feel like it's a child labor. It is a child labor. Like I was already performing with Cirque du Soleil at the age of 11. And at that time, I didn't know what it was happening around me. And now that I'm a mother and I see I'm thinking, as a mother, like, okay, let's see, when my son turns like, or daughter turns 7 years old, I'm gonna send him to another city to just like give to international school, and just like, oh, I'm going to another town, I will let you go to another town and you practice with the strangers or something like this. It's like, I feel like it's very brave and a lot of guts for the parents to do it. And
Yeah.
I cannot do it physically as a mother. I cannot do it. And in that, after 3 years, when the kid turns 11, because he or she is so good at what she is doing, and some amazing company wants to hire her or him, and then you give the child away, it's like, I feel disaster about it, like as a mother. As a kid, what I experienced, I wasn't happy on tour alone, like away from parents. I was always homesick. I was
Oh.
I was making trouble, so they could send me back home. And all. So for me, I'm very grateful for what happened for my life. Like, it's gave me the amazing job. I met amazing people, incredible artists. I got to travel all around the world. I got paid to travel mostly, and I get to experience all the traditions and cultures of from different places. And I'm really grateful that I learned English and I went to different school. I have the open mindset of artists, because we are always adaptable to any environment. They give me a lot. I learned a lot. I became an independent at the age of 12 because I'm away from parents, and it teach me a lot. But I have a feeling that I literally lost my childhood. Like I didn't have childhood. Like because I was working, I wasn't able to play anything. As I remember, the garden chaplain never took me to playground because I could be injured and wouldn't be able to do the show the next day. So she wouldn't take the risk for me to go and play something. So it was a very, I'm talking honestly about it. Yes, it is amazing. I get to travel, but I lost more than I received as in the childhood moment. And yes, but thankful also that it happened to me, because I don't know what I would have been when I was only in Mongolia and with the rest of the contortionists,
Yeah.
So yeah, but I have a feeling that if you're very good at it, if you're super talented at it, it will come to you one day. You will see the good results anyway. Sooner or later, it's going to come to you, because I always think that even if I didn't go to Cirque du Soleil at 11 years old, I would have gone to another shows when I was 17, 18. I know that because I know that I was that good. I'm not saying because I'm like this, but I was one of the best contortionists at that time.
Yeah.
And not anymore, but there's amazing, beautiful, strong contortionists, young girls out there, and I cannot say I wouldn't compete next to them, because my age is already saying no, and I have kids and just different body and all this, but I got to experience the best as a contortionist, because me and my partner, we were two of us, all we were dancing. We did dual contortion Algeria since 2004 till 2013 December, and we did Algeria for 10 years, and we were very good. And after that, we asked to join other productions very easily because they didn't want to lose us.
Yeah.
And then I went to join Amazona, and then I met my husband. Then we came back. My partner and I came back to Titan. We do a contortion, and then we were like, okay, let's do our own career. And I got pregnant with my first child and left Cirque du Soleil. Yes.
Yeah.
So I did have an amazing career. I wouldn't say anything about it because I started at 11 with Algeria, an amazing iconic show.
Are you still in touch with your parents? Like, do you see them?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm very in touch with my parents.
Are they still in Mongolia? They live there?
They are in Mongolia.
Cool.
Yes, they are in Mongolia. They are very happy that I have beautiful two kids.
Yeah.
And they are very supportive. But our relationship is not like, I don't know them.
Mm-hmm.
I know they're my parents. I know
Of course.
they will do they want anything for me to be happy. I want them to be happy. They came on tour to visit me. We have good relationships. We talk always on the phone, but like to the point, like when was I last time for their birthday? I don't remember.
Mm.
Did we ever spend the New Year's Eve together? We never did.
Yeah.
Like these things, like the moments you want them to be the most, that moment, like celebrating your, 20th, or your 2021, or whatever, it's like,
Yeah.
or my mother's first 14th birthday, or this 20th wedding anniversary, whatever, I was not able to be there. I miss the moment always. So these moments we never shared, so we didn't have this deep, amazing, beautiful memories.
Right. That like,
I for
yeah.
now I believe that it's more about the memories that I make. Like when you go through people, go live with people, and you experience the life together, and that's most beautiful thing about being together with people, because even hard and in your lows and downs and up and downs, you go through together, and then you understand who that person is. You learn the person. Uh, this person is good at this, bad at this, and then you really start to understand and start to go along with the wave together, like
Mm.
become almost one person by two people. That's what's happening with my husband. The first 3 years of relationship, we were artists, we go through distant relationship, we were together for 1 month, and then in a distant relationship for 2 months, 3 months. It's a challenge, it's a big challenge of distant relationship for couples, especially in the new stage of the relationships. And then at some point you're like, okay, this doesn't work, this works. So you know that this relationship is not going to work until one of you say no to this relationship, no to work, or give up on something to be together, or it works for you perfectly, the distance relationship. There are people, I know that there are people that loves distant relationships. I don't know how they do it, but not for me. It didn't work for me. So I got pregnant, and I ended my career with Cirque du Soleil, and I moved on to my life with my beautiful husband, amazing artist, and good father. Amazing. He is amazing. He is everything for me and my family and for kids. So it
You
all
get to,
started with joining Cirque du Soleil. So,
yeah, and now you get to like
so
build
it's,
the family as an adult that like maybe you
yeah,
wanted as a child, which is ultimately like kind of what being an adult is, or what's so cool about it, I think, is you can kind of have, like, when you're a kid, you don't really get to choose your life, but as you grow up, if you can be smart
yeah,
and intentional and reflect on what you want, then you can make what you want in the world. So I love that you're doing that.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I felt like I'm lost my sacrifice my childhood. So I want to make a beautiful childhood for my family.
Mm.
I really enjoy seeing my kids grow, and I feel like I'm a child again, literally learning to walk and learning to talk together. So it's like I'm I guess filling that gap that I had with my kids, if
Ah,
it makes sense.
that's so cool.
Yeah,
I love that. I love, yeah, everything you're saying. It's really amazing. Did you ever, oh, this is a very personal question, and then I want to ask you a bit more about circus, but did you
yeah.
ever like go to therapy, or did you ever like, how did you arrive at, because this is very I don't know. I know a lot of people who have a lot of difficulty with the sacrifices they made for circus, or, and get very closed off, or they have a lot of problems sometimes with drinking or other things. But you seem so just
Mm,
like you understand what's good, what's bad, and you're just like very uh like even about it, balanced,
mhm.
and it's really remarkable. Were you always like this? Is this
Yeah.
just your temperament, or
No,
okay.
no, I was a disaster on tour. I was literally the one of the, there are ladies that always make troubles. And okay, let's say I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs. These things I never liked it since I was a kid. My parents never did drugs, and this is not the thing that I like in my body. I don't react well to it. Like I get sick, so These drugs and things never been a problem for me. But I did have a psychological problem before. I have temper problem. I had, and I didn't notice it until I gave a birth to my first kid that I have a bad temper, and the kid. But after that, I did actually by myself alone. I did reach out to psychologists. It was hard because after traveling for a long time with the tour and every 2 months of change into different city. So I gave a birth to my child in a different city that I didn't have any friends to or didn't know the language, which was Ukraine. So I did went to a big depression, I would say. But then at some point had to look at the picture from the outside. And I really understood that this is not what I want for me and for my child. Because I want the best for my child. I want to be the happiest so my kid can be happy. So I did reach out to psychologists by myself. And it really helps. It really, really helps. So you just need to hear something from the bit from different angle than your side. Because in the beginning I was like, why am I in one place? I suppose I was one of the best artists that traveled in the world, had fun job, fun everything. And all of a sudden I felt like I'm trapped in a school room with a kid, it's like, oh, but then, when you reach out to psychologists, you really open yourself. If it was not like a person to person psychologist, it's more like a talking. So it's also that that somebody is listening, but you actually don't know that person. And that person don't really know me. So I was really free to talk about it. So it felt like I didn't feel that guilt about that. Oh, I'm going to see a psychologist because I have a problem. Oh, disaster, How can you be disaster when you have the most beautiful baby in your arms and you be shameful about it or something? Like,
for sure.
I didn't feel that. When I was on the phone talking to people and all this. Talking to the psychologist, and but it really gave me another mind, and I started to see different. I started to really appreciate my husband because he was the only one trying to make our family work, and he was the only one working and taking care of the family. Because after 15 years of a Cirque du Soleil, in the hotel room that the housekeeper cleans, the kitchen is ready for at work. All you have to do was bend on stage for 3 minutes, and the rest was taken care of. I didn't even do a single visa process all through this time. I really didn't know what life was outside of Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah.
The reality literally slapped me in the face. Literally, start from the morning to wake up with the breakfast. Like, I didn't even know how to fry eggs. It's a bit extreme. I'm exaggerating, but this was the reality that I really felt. I don't know what am I doing that day. Like, what am I doing? Like, I really didn't know how to do the grocery stores, how to make normal meals, and all this simple little stuff that usually a lot of people know that I didn't know.
Yeah.
So literally, it was huge change, and yes, it was difficult in the beginning, but as you go one by one, step by step, you get to learn. And yes, I started to meditate. Very good. And also that I understand it, make time for yourself always. Even you be busy with the kids, with the life, a lot of things happening around you. Make time for yourself. Wake up. If you need to, I think giving yourself a time is much more important than sleeping because lots of so wake up, have a tea, or at least have good 5 minutes to wake up for yourself and have a tea, warm, sit down, relax, and stop looking at the Instagrams and different social medias because that takes a lot of time also.
Yeah.
So and then time management. I really started to make a schedule for myself a bit. Not like time to time, from this time to time. Like with the kid, it's kind of unable. it's really
It's their
impossible to
time,
make
right?
a
Like, yeah.
good. Yeah, it's if it's like the baby says now or never. The baby's screaming, you have to pick the baby up and all this. So around the baby, just make a good time line for yourself. Like you want to work out this time when baby having few naps during the nap. You want to have a nap 1 or 2 times, but not nap all the time, and workout. For me, workout is the best way to stress free myself. So I will just what I was starting to do is like even I'm at home, I wasn't able to go when because most of the time my husband goes to work and I'm alone with the baby at home. So it's kind of hard to go to a gym with the kid and also so I started buying equipment at home, like something small that I can use. And then when the kid is sleeping or at night when they start a long sleep, I just start to work out. Like I was sweating myself out, stress free myself out. And then when also artists, when you have less fat or when you feel good in yourself, you feel good. You understand what I mean? Yeah. Like,
no, totally.
So yeah, because it's all my life, it was like me looking good on stage. So people get inspiration from me to get back in shape or whatever, So I motivated myself. I put up like lots of beautiful girls with muscles and all this, or just look at myself back, what I was able to do before. So these are the things that motivate me to get back in shape. So I was starting to work out and feel free. And then after a while, I was back in my shape and then I felt good. And then my husband started to book me small gigs now and there. So you get the adrenaline of being artist at the same time. So you're a full-time mom, but then like, in 1 month, I have to go and do one gig over there. So I have to get back in shape. And then you start to get happy again and something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Do you have a new goal? Like always change, and mindset also is very important to have a good mindset for something. So to have accomplished, like just because you have you finished your career or like you're still a person, you need to grow in some way. Like people are always growing. Like every day you grow. So,
but I also think what's interesting about what you're saying is just because you've moved on a bit doesn't mean you abandon who you were. Do you know, like the idea of like you still work out, you still bend from time to time, you still do some work because like that makes you feel more like who you are. It's not like, okay, I'm in this new season of my life, so everything that happened before doesn't count anymore or something. You integrate is the word I want to use. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You really integrate yourself to something new, and you cannot be fully forget who you were anyway. So it's like it's already in yourself. It's yourself that you want to perform. As an artist, I think the feeling of this being on stage, being admired by people is one of the most amazing feeling as an artist. So now and then you want to remember it, because it's like a muscle memory. So it's like a brain memory. You want to feel that way, So it's kind of like a ego or whatever, but like it's just good for you. It's healthy for you to do it.
So yeah.
And now actually my husband and I are both working. So our second child is 3 months old. So we started to work 1 month ago. So my baby was only 2 months and I started to work again. And then the motivation was we got the last minute offer because of this pandemic and COVID, and we don't know what's happening. Our offers that been supposed to happen being cancelled, and there's like sudden offers comes out after I give a birthday. It's like, we're going to Switzerland to work. It's like it's in 1 month. I'm like, how? What do you mean? It's 1 month. It's like, yeah, you have 1 month to get back in shape. I was like, oh no, why? It's like, oh my goodness. And then, but it was challenging, but it was fun, and it was very fun to like good motivation for yourself to get back in shape. It's 1 month, but bit extreme. It was a bit extreme. Now I'm still getting back into shape. I didn't do all the strength and push-ups and all this because I just cannot physically. I'm not able to. So I'm slowly, and I can do most of the things, but now slowly starting to push myself to get back all the strength workouts. So starting to integrate my push-ups, swing push-ups, crocodile push-ups, and one arms balance to my
That's so
act.
cool.
So one by one, take it
Yeah.
easy
Well, what
taking
I
it
think is
easy.
cool too is I've talked to other people and they have a very like it's either like yes or no kind of perspective. So if they don't feel like they can be at the level that they always expect from themselves, they would rather not perform. And it sounds like for you, you're like taking a very moderate approach where you're like, well, I just had a baby a month ago or 2 months ago. Like, what do you want from me? I'm going to do what I can do. And it's still going to be beautiful and impressive because
Exactly.
it's in my body since I was 8 years old. So here we are.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it doesn't have to
And
be the top of the top anymore, which is
exactly. Yeah, because now I'm not seeking for myself to be the top of the top. Like that's not gonna happen anyway. So, so yeah, I was the first pregnancy. I was a bit too hard on myself because like, why I was able to do this, why I'm not able to do it now? Why I can't? I just need to work harder. But there are things that your body literally shifted by giving birth. Your body is different. There are things that you just lose by age also.
Mhm.
Even you work hard, it's just not gonna be the same. So why not just do it differently than torture yourself into injuries?
Yeah,
Like
totally.
it could become an injury. So why just go back and integrate the act to yourself, then integrate yourself to the old act. So just change it up. It's free. It's free world.
Yeah.
Artist is it's open mind. It's like all about life. Is be open mind and go with the follow. So I will say just if you cannot do, change it up. If your body is aching, you don't have to do it. Don't torture yourself. And yes, and that's one of the thing I understand through my actually the teens, 20s, and early 30s. All this every teen year, the body goes to change, and if you don't do something about it, it's most likely to lead you to injuries, and it make you sit back a bit. So rather than just push yourself into these injuries, I think you need to go do it bit differently. I'm not saying make the act easier for you or is don't do the tricks that is bothering you. I'm just saying just do it in a different way. Just go around it. If you're doing this twisty one arm, you can still twist the one arm, but just do it differently. Twist, it's like you don't have to fully 360 like bend to impress audience. The way you are already doing it, and at some point, I have a feeling as an artist, the flexibility, the tricks are not the most important thing. The artistic side takes over that, and you become more experienced. The way you represent yourself on stage, the way you feel what the audience looking at, is changes the way you bend and all this. So instead of doing hard tricks, do more artistically and impress by more being performer. So it changes. So it doesn't have to be like the hard tricks, the impressive trick. Sometimes the way you look at the audience can be more impressive than the hard trick.
Yeah.
So just play with your act, play with the audience, interact more.
That's such amazing advice. I love that. I love it when I had Elena Lev on and she said something very similar. You know Elena? She's a hula hoop artist.
Of course. Yeah, I love
she gave very similar advice, which was like, at some point your body can't do it anymore, and why would you push it? And I'm still a great performer. She said, I'm still a great performer. I can still do everything. I still have
She's amazing.
What I've set out to do. But I just love when people like yourself and her and others come on and give permission, because there's so many people out there who are in that mindset of like, I just have to work harder. Why can't I do this? And it's like, well, it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to ask you a little bit about you and your partner, your contortion partner.
Yes.
10 years together. did she, and it's another female, it's a woman.
Yeah.
Did you start in the school together? Were you assigned a duo? Did Cirque du Soleil do that? How did that partnership happen?
Okay. This is actually a very interesting process of how you became duo contortionist or like this. Okay. I started the circus school at the age of 7. And my partner, Oyu Singh, she is an amazing contortionist. She is performing with Algria now. Yes, the new Algria.
Yes.
And she joined contortion school at the age of 6. We are same age. And at the age of 9, 8, at the age of 8, both of us started to. My contortion coach saw that both of us would be good because I'm more flexible and she is very strong. She has the strength and I have the flexibility. So if she put us together, then it's a good combination. So the coaches know who to put together for their mind. So if they see the long term, it's gonna work or not. They have this idea. I don't know what they think. So we were put together to do a dual contortion at the age of 8. So after we learned all the handstand and one arm, and when we can do things by ourselves, then we try to put together the act together. And then so we put my partner and I were put together at the age of 8, and then we were just learning tricks, just simple tricks on top of each other. And then there was a news that Cirque du Soleil casting is coming to Mongolia to looking for new artists.
Did you like
and
each
then
other?
They were
like, did you get along? Were you friends?
I don't even remember that.
Okay.
Yes, we were friends. Afterwards, we became friends.
Of course, yeah.
But at the age of 8, I don't remember we were friends. Or
Okay.
I remember that I was the morning lesson and she was the afternoon lesson. So we were not even together in the beginning.
Okay.
But then my coach said that she really thinks if we put together, we're gonna be good.
Okay.
Artist is gonna very good acts might come out. So I had to change school to go to the afternoon class and then to train with her. So we started to practice together, starting to do a contortion. And then at the age of 9, Cirque du Soleil came to audition. But then they were because the Algria was going to Japan. They have so much numbers of shows. Each act has a backup act. So contortion act is gonna have a backup contortion act, and all the acts gonna have backups. Or there's a one good act that's gonna be backup for all the acts. So we were the backup contortion. So they were looking for backup contortion for Japan tour. So my partner and I were put together do a contortion little transitions because the coach said, Cirque du Soleil casting is coming. You guys need to put something together. So in 1 week, put something together like easy breezy, just connect the tricks. And then the casting happened. And to be honest, we weren't so good. We were totally not good. And then, but we got chosen just because we were the youngest and the smallest.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, because they were looking for a really too small, like the character is small birds.
Yes. Yeah.
So we were representing the youth of the show because Algria is all about the old and the youth and the accepting who they are. So that is the representing of the joy of life. They accept everything, and if you accept the way things are, the joy comes in. That is the meaning of Algria, the show. So the joy. So they needed the dual contortion to represent the youth of the shine, the beautiful, the light that the kids bring to the world. So we were literally the smallest and the youngest. And then we were putting this. So they were like, okay, we see a good potential for these two. So they came back next year when we were 10 years old, and we practiced 5-6 days a week only to learn the act and put the act to the contortion music for Cirque du Soleil, the Algria show. So we were practicing 1 year full, only recreating the Algria contortion duo act.
And do you remember having like adults or like a coach or somebody who was like your friend or like somebody who was nice to you. Like I'm thinking like all of this, going back to what you were talking about before, is like very professional and very like, this is the job, this is this. But I mean, I'm thinking about like coaching an adult or coaching an artist who's older and coming in and bringing them in and teaching them, like has to be very different than coaching a couple of 11-year-olds and teaching them an act, you know? Like what
Yeah,
did you
I
have
think so.
anybody like
I'm
that?
sure.
Yeah.
So definitely our original coach was there. She was there on tour with us also. But there also was another coach from Cirque du Soleil side.
Okay.
So I signed a coach from Mongolia. So we were practicing with her because she knows the show. She was in charge of the duo contortion at that time. So she also integrated us to the contortion act. So, and then once we got to Cirque du Soleil, once we got on tour, there was another coach, Magda Gendin-Suren, and she is an incredible coach. She's been our coach the rest of the 10 years, and she's still a coach for my partner up because she's still with Alegria.
Okay.
So she is teaching her. So that is our coach. But yes, we had coach, but all professional. So even we were at 11, 10 years old, from 9 years, it was all professional. So like contortion was like, it's a work. We had to take it serious. Even as a kids, it is serious. It's work. Yeah. So for us, it was like, for kids, you know, you do it for fun. And for us, it's like, if it's a mistake, it's a disaster. If not, we're cool. Kind of, you know. So if we made a kind of mistake, if you fall on top of each other from missing the trick, then it's, oh my goodness, we made a big mistake. No. But then you learn from what's around you. So the coach is making you become a professional artist one by. It doesn't happen overnight. So even the first few shows, first few years with Alegria, we were probably kids. You know, everybody sees us as kids. Doing their act, contortion, performing contortion act. But then after 12, 13, 14, you become a bit taller, you become different, and we want to be professional. We want to look good on stage. And then, and also from the companies, like, oh, they need to be professional, we want to be professional. And then that's when all good, everybody is happy. So, so that was the process. We got into Alegria. At the age of 10, our first city was, we came to Montreal for 2 weeks to integrate, to learn the makeup, to costume fitting, the wig fitting, everything. And then we did our first performance, Toronto, 2004 in August.
Was that the first time you had ever been on stage?
Yes, that's one of the most funny things is we actually did our first performance on the stage of Cirque du Soleil. It's very funny.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know how that. I'm sure it was fun. I remember we just came in out of after our act, and everybody was clapping, and some people brought us chocolates, and I remember that moment. And yes, it was an amazing moment. It definitely was amazing. One of like, not that people like. And we didn't understand also because we started our career in the stage of Cirque du Soleil, and we grew up there for 10 years left. And then there were artists like coming to artists for us, like, oh, my dream is to perform on the stage of Cirque du Soleil. Most of the artists' dream is to perform on Cirque du Soleil. You know, it's one of the highlight of your career usually. So, yeah. And then we are like, why? Because we didn't understand that, you know, it's, for us, it just happened naturally, just happened one of a sudden. We didn't even know that. We didn't even know that it was like the most amazing stage performance company and all this. Like, I didn't know about it. So like, everybody's like, and then after a while, like when you're 16, 17, like, I work for Cirque du Soleil, you know, super proudly, because I know that it's one of the best company in the world, and you know, every artist dream and all this is like, okay, yeah. So it was fun.
But it's wild to think that your first time on stage was in front of thousands of people in Toronto under the Cirque du Soleil tent. Like,
But as a kid, we didn't feel the pressure. Huh?
it's very
Yeah,
unique.
it is. But as a kid,
Okay, yeah.
we didn't know how to get nervous until 16, I think. You know, the premiere show, the show of the premiere, everybody is getting nervous. All the families are watching. My friends and moms and parents are watching. And then we were like, as long as we don't make mistakes, we're good. You know, that might. Yeah. But I remember first time parents watching the show. Like, I didn't know that, you know, the artistic director or the senior director came from Montreal to watch the show. That didn't make me nervous at all. But when my parents came to see the show, I was like, oh, my mom and papa are in the show, watching the show. Then I get nervous. I remember the first time getting nervous because my mom was watching the show. So it's very special. You know, it's like, and my mom had the tear.
Oh, I bet she was so
She was
proud.
very proud,
Yeah.
the tears and everything and all this. Yeah, it's proud moment. Yeah, it's very beautiful. Yes.
Are you still in contact with your duo partner?
Yes, we're always in contact. Like, she's my only friend. She is my only childhood friend. We spent literally half of our lives together. So she's just more than a friend. She is literally everything to me, to be honest. And like, if something happens,
Like a sister.
yeah, she's
Sure.
like a sister. She's more than a sister. I don't know. I almost have like a husband, almost. Like,
Yeah.
like I have 3 siblings. So when I left tour, I couldn't sleep alone. So I had like a night fear that if I go to sleep alone, so she was like cuddly person. Like, I was like, please cuddle me to sleep. And like, every time I have to take a shower or something, like if I feel afraid of something, I was like, can you sit over there? And then I will take a shower and like, and then I will like, make sure I'm asleep and you go to your room or something, because I was always with people. And when I went on tour, like, it was hard for me to be alone. And then she was there always for me, and she has been a very good impact on my life, because I was the crazy one. She was the more zen zone one when we were smaller. She is so calm and really an old soul, like amazing person, and she never gets into fight. She is always like zen zone. She is like a Buddha almost, you know, like. And then she is very strong. She is a great performer, and I couldn't be happier. Now she has a husband, and they're both working for Alegria now, and I'm so happy because she was on Tatem, the husband was on Alegria, so they were in different shows for a quite long time, and now they are together. So I'm very happy for them that they are together, and hopefully she's gonna have a mini her, and then our kids gonna play together.
Yeah, then they can play together. Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yes, I'm very proud of her.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So you kind of talked about this earlier, but do you think your kids will follow in you and Victor's footsteps? Do you think they'll be artists as well?
I really don't mind.
I know it's so hard to say.
It's hard to say. They're 4 and 3 months old. So my son, I started stretching him every morning. Every day we do stretching, just because I want him to. Because we're on tour, we are here for 3 months, so he couldn't go to kindergarten, daycare. So I want him to be a bit more disciplined and more things to do. We have the routine of the day, and we try to follow it. And so we do stretching. I do it for just the basic, just in case. If he wants to be an artist, he has the basics. And if he wants to be something else, we will support him. We will be there for him. But as a mother, as a artist, I know it's very difficult. It's asked a lot from the body. It's harsh to be artist. As from my view, you know, you need to be always working out. You need to think about your diet. If you're on the show, you need to think about your sleep. You always have to take care of yourself to be the best on stage. And I find in myself that if you are, I don't like when people are mediocre at something. Like I personally don't agree with multi-skills as an artist. I mean, it's good, there's artists that started a bit later and then they want to be really circus artists and they didn't get the proper trainings, It's not only for them, it's also a lot about the coach and the school that they go to. So there are many artists that want to be amazing artists, but just they don't have the environment to be the one. So there are things like this. But then for point of me, I prefer somebody that is very good at one discipline. And of course, you can learn the second and the third and stand out as the best in one discipline. Then try to do many and like mediocre at everything, That is my point of view. I'm not saying that everybody shouldn't be like this or not. But so if my kids wants to be a super performer, artist, whatever, I want them to be good at something. So if my kid doesn't want to be good at it, then I don't want them to be mediocre at something. So I didn't have to say this.
No, that makes sense. Like if you're gonna go for it, really go for it.
Yeah, exactly. So watch till the end, like what's on the other side of the result, rather than like, oh, I'm gonna do this and then I do this, end up doing this, and it just goes everywhere. Like doesn't. There are people like this, and I don't want him to do it. But I'm stretching him. I'm trying to make.
Does he like being stretched? Does he like it? Like, is he like down?
Yes, he likes. But cool. He, of course, when the pain starts, he runs away. But it's like, Mama, I'm gonna be broken. And then after there, I have this vitamins. I have a little vitamins, like it makes your bones stronger. If the broken bone, it makes it heal. So then he asks for his vitamins, and then it's good, So, and he always has his robot. He's in love with Transformers, so he has his robots.
Okay.
And he has to do the exactly same thing as him when I'm stretching him. So
they have to stretch
too.
Have to stretch. Okay. So yeah, of course.
Yeah. So things like this. But we live in Ukraine, and there is a school right across the. We were living in this. We were living in Anatoly Zalewski's studio all this COVID time because we couldn't live in the city because of the 2 kids and just too much to live in the city during this pandemic. So we moved out to the countryside, and we were literally in a artistic culture center. So they were holding kids class every morning, Monday to Friday. So my kid was going there. As soon as I'm there to train him, he doesn't do. But if I leave him, he does it all without any problem. So I have a feeling just I have to, if I want him to be like really good discipline in one thing, at least just, I don't want him to take it serious or anything, just for him to try it out and see how it was. I think I just have to take him to a school or something and just leave him.
You give him to another coach. You can't be his coach. I think that's good. You be his mother.
So I'm not the one that hurted him.
He's probably going to be a very good hand balancer.
Yeah, I will send you a photo. I'll send you a photo because this morning I was practicing him and we were playing and we practice together. When I'm like practicing, he is there. And then when I do bridge, he thinks it's a home. So he sits underneath me. It's like, oh, I'm at my home, Mama. And then I open the door by doing one arm, and then he gets out because it's door is opening. It's all this cute toy. And then one time, and then he puts hangs his legs from the bed, and then he picks up his one arm. So, Mama, I'm doing one arm. So let's see how it goes. But I would be excited if he became a performer, to be honest. As a mother, I don't mind. Yeah. As a father, also, Victor really don't mind. But he doesn't see it seriously. He sees it as more like a playground because we are always walking, and he comes and he plays with the juggling ball. They're stretched when I'm stretching. He plays around with it. So he takes it as a more playground. it's like a playtime, then more it's a discipline. You need to work hard and everything. But we'll see how it goes. I don't mind.
For sure. I have one more question to ask you. And it's the question I always ask every guest at the end of my interviews. I always ask, what advice would you give to yourself at the beginning of your career? If you could go back in a time machine to little 11-year-old all about to go on stage with Alegria, what would you say? That would make maybe everything a little easier or a little more helpful, or what would you
I would say that don't be harsh on yourself, and you always have time to improve. Everything comes by being patient and being in the moment. So when you practice, dedicate yourself to the practice, work hard. But if it doesn't work, sometimes the tricks is something you want to learn or something you want to achieve, just because you want it the most. These things takes time. So if you want to be a great artist, if you want to, it will take time and it will never be perfect. So you will spend all the rest of the time to perfect it. Like you will become perfectionist literally at some point. You know that you're good. Everybody knows you're good, but people are never happy, never enough, like never happy with themselves. They always something to improve. So they're always something to move on to. So you always want to improve yourself. Just watch, sit back, relax. Don't be too harsh on yourself, and one step at a time. Really, one step at a time. No rush. There's nothing to be rushed. So because it will happen if you giving it time, if you're dedicating yourself, if you're working hard, you will see the result eventually. But slowly. Don't rush. That's it. That will be it, I think.
Let's see. That's fabulous advice for, I think, anyone at any age, actually. Don't rush.
Not only to become artists, in generally everything. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on today. I so appreciate it. This was amazing.
Thank you for inviting me, actually. Thank you so much. And it was good to talk to you too. Interesting podcast.
That was my interview with Ulzii Kee. To find out more about Ulzii, you can follow her on Instagram at Ulzii Kee. And for aerial training tips and inspiration, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm at _artist_athlete. My TikTok is The Artist Athlete. My Facebook is The Artist Athlete. I'm at theartistathlete.com. And if you love what you're listening to every single week, go to patreon.com/theartistathlete and sign up to become a Patreon today. Thanks for tuning in. Talk at you next week, friends, fans, and foes. The Artist Athlete podcast is supported solely by donations from people like you. Here's what some of those people have to say.
Hi, my name is Noah and I do hand balancing. Hi, my name is Woody and I do Leo walk. Thank you for listening to the Artist Athlete podcast.
Hi everyone, I'm Dominique, a ground acrobat, trapeze artist, and coach, currently bringing circus to the extremely cold but very beautiful Northern Ontario, Canada. Circus has changed my life and I'm so grateful to everyone in this community. Find me on Instagram at DomUpsideDown or my website domupsidedown.com.
Aloha, my name is Beth Russell and I live on the beautiful island of Maui, Hawaii. I am an aerial artist and movement instructor specializing in chakra yoga to keep me balanced and grounded. I play with silks, trapeze, lyra, rope, acro, aerial yoga and dance, slacklining, pole, bungee, and climbing. Really anything that goes up and allows me to explore 3D space. You can find my dedicated aerial page on Instagram at Maui Aerialist. If you find yourself coming to Maui, let's play.
Hey there, friends, fans, and enemies. This is Chris Alston, Patreon of the Artist Athlete podcast, straps artist and lyra performer and acrobat out of Greenville, South Carolina. So if you're ever passing through, make sure to stop in and see me and my friends. We have a wonderful space and we'd love to see you.
Hi, my name is Erica Lee. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm an aerialist. I teach performing arts to elementary school during the day and do pole and swing and rope by night. I really, really like the Artist Athlete podcast because it gives me a lot of circus goals to look forward to. It gives me a lot of insight on what's going on around the world in circus, and that's why I'm Patreon.
Hello all.
Thank you for tuning in to the Artist Athlete podcast. I am Opal Schwartz from Minneapolis, Minnesota. If you're ever in the cities, feel free to stop by the Aviary Minneapolis. It's a great time. With that, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week, and goodbye.
Hey there, artists and athletes. This is Andy Smith, owner and artistic director at Saltaire Circus School in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. And I want to thank you for contributing to the Artist Athlete podcast. If you ever find yourself down in Florida, come check us out. Whether you're an artist, athlete, or someone ordinary just looking to be extraordinary, we got a place for you.